Welcome to the Get Trauma Informed podcast, dedicated to unraveling the complexities of trauma, its pervasive impact, and the journey towards holistic recovery and realignment. If your radiance has ever felt muted, like I and thousands of others, you're in the right place to reignite your inner light. I'm your host, Wellness Coach Liz Blanding, and this is the Get Trauma Informed podcast. And welcome to another episode of Mini Trauma Recovery Talks. Y'all, I am just so excited today. I wanted to come on and talk a little bit or have a conversation about the difference between recovery and healing, or healing and recovery, right? You say, wait a minute, isn't that the same thing? No. I was at a conference and I heard one of the speakers say the difference between recovery and healing. Now, healing is like, we're going to just say we fall on our bike and we have a scab and, your body's going through that healing process, right? Recovery is now you putting everything on it to make sure that it recovers back to the skin that you were in, the beautiful, soft skin, right? So that's the difference. The healing process, yes, it's wonderful and it's amazing. But that recovery, it means you're going back and you're snatching back everything that was stolen from you from that trauma. Remember, trauma is not your fault. However, recovery, that is your responsibility. And we talk about looking through that kaleidoscope. Well, hey, think about walking through life when the picture is distorted. But oh my God, think about what it looks like when that picture now clears up and you can walk through life now seeing what is actually there instead of the distorted view that you had once upon a time. Man, I tell you, as I'm going through this recovery journey and looking at the other side and continuing to walk through my self-care, seeing others walk through their self-care, looking at the people and the stories that we are experiencing through the Pathway to Trauma Recovery book study and the support group, hearing all of the stories of people pouring out what's in you. Because listen, if you don't pull that trauma out, up and out, if you don't pull that trauma out of you and you keep walking through life with that trauma sitting there, it festers and it's progressive. So it gets worse. And all of a sudden, one day you explode from it. So let's go back to, we talked on one of our earlier episodes we talked a little bit about soul fragmentation, y'all, and I'm going to get deeper into that as we go along. I want to talk more about that inner child, inner adolescent, and inner adult. Recovery looks like the inner adult now standing up tall, the inner adult accepting responsibility, and it may even take you going through some of the items in the recovery process, meaning going back, making restitution for maybe some of the things that you did or some of the actions, some of the misservice of other people or mishandling of other people. If you've done that, then you go back and you apologize for that. And that helps you in your recovery because now you're holding yourself accountable. Even though you made decisions out of a distorted perspective, you made decisions out of what you felt like was correct at the time, but you go back now and you say, you know what, I made that decision, maybe stand with that wrong person. I made it out of fear of abandonment. I made it out of fear of not being good enough. I made it out of whatever that fear marker was for you. As you recover, it disappears. As you recover, you understand that you deserve the best, and then you go for it. Lisa Nichols, she talked about giving out of your saucer and not out of your cup, right? Because as a trauma survivor, we tend to give out of our cup. And as we continue to give out of our cup, we're people pleasing. And instead of us giving out of our saucer, out of the overflow, making sure that self is okay, we don't do that. We give out of that cup and we continue to give out of that cup until it's depleted. And then we go into unhealthy behaviors like the burnout. We go into behaviors that are self-soothing or that are self-medicating. We go into addictions, and that's a sad place to be when you want to be out of your addiction, but you keep going back in because maybe life stressors are taking you back into that space, and you continue to walk through life in maybe denial, or the addiction is so much that you can't, or you don't feel like you have the strength or the willpower to move from it. But I'm here to tell you that if you want it, it's called self-determination. If you want it bad enough, if you want a life free of addiction, of abuse, free of the trauma addiction, you want to get off of that cycle of addiction, period, there is a way to get help from that. And one is being able to first come into awareness that you even have a recovery a recovery issue, right? An addiction issue that needs or wants recovery. It's coming into that awareness, accepting that, and then walking into it, right? I am just so excited to be able to share this with you. So the difference in recovery and healing, recovery means you're going to go back and you're going to recover it. Not only healing that issue, but you're going to go back and recover everything that has been stolen or everything that you've lost in those years. And that means going back and mending relationships. It means forging new, amazing relationships. It means walking into a better life, into a better life for yourself. All of these things we make, well, all of these decisions that we make out of a distorted vision or version, right? Out of a distorted lens or a trauma lens, we make those decisions, and then if we don't go back and recover it, it still sits there. There's still a stench of what are the bad decisions or the bad consequences of those decisions, right? So we come out of the people pleasing mode, we get ourselves in a better space, in a better place, and there is a tremendous amount of joy and peace on the other side, right? There is a way that you can, or method that you can overcome these, even the emotional baggage. There's a way for us to do that, but we must again come into awareness and go into a program. Okay. And I hope this has been helpful when we talk about episodes of, what does it look like? What does trauma really look like? What is it? What happens to us? What really happened that drove me into this place? Why have I felt like all of the pieces of my puzzle were scattered all over the place, right? Or I was indecisive. I hear a lot of people saying they're indecisive, and oftentimes we're jumping to what the outcome is, right? So we feel shattered, we feel scattered, right? So there's a lot to this trauma thing, and I just love the peace that comes on the other side of it, and I keep going back there because it's just amazing. So with the right self-care plan, with the right coaches, life can start to make sense. Okay. And all you need is a made up mind and to take one step in one step, even if that is, picking up the Pathway to Trauma Recovery book and hearing the different traumas and hearing how that person took it upon themselves to reach out and grab the assistance and the help that was available to them. We're going to bring on the Pathway to Trauma Recovery authors one by one so that they can go over their stories. One of the things in one of the chapters was it was just so amazing when she talked about, one of the authors talked about some of the steps that she used to rebuild her life after divorce. So some of the things that you're going to get, well, she turned to prayer. She sought after guidance from God for strength, wisdom, and healing. She surrounded herself with a supportive community of friends and church members for love and encouragement. She sought after counseling and therapy to work through emotional challenges and gain perspective on moving forward. She took care of herself physically, emotionally, spiritually through her self-care activities. She joined support groups. She focused on personal growth and rediscovery. She worked through forgiveness, and that's a huge one. When we go back to the naturopathic wellness ways, we talk about the 5 principles of healing, and one of them is to come out of fear. 2 is to be forgiven. 3 is to cleanse. Then we nourish and we oxygenate the body. But all of those things together, those things are the things that formulate your self-care plan. In my self-care plan, man, I tell you, mine is long as my arm, right? Getting up in the morning and exercising, that helps your body it starts to wake up, it starts to pump, the healthy I was going to say, it just helps to pump healthy hormones to your body, right? It helps your body to work better. It helps you to think more clear, helps to clear out some of the toxins that's going on in your body. So again, when I go back to the Pathway to Trauma Recovery book and we talk about recovery, going back and grabbing everything that you've lost in this whole trauma journey, in this whole recovery journey. It is very, very powerful. My self-determination said that I could do it. Okay, I gave it over to my higher power, and guess what? Transformation started. And I'm telling you, I'm so excited about it. I'm excited about the growth that I see, the growth that others see in me, the growth that I see in others around us. So again, Pathway to Trauma Recovery, that's only one way in order for you to start moving forward in your recovery. There are many, many ways, and we would love for you to join our community at oasiswellnessctrs.com to get more information. And yes, at the top of the page, there's a lot of different choices for you to make. But again, putting together your self-care plan is as unique as your fingerprint. You decide what it is that you need to do to move forward. But this is the key. The key is to move forward. It's to execute. It's to know that you deserve the best and you will start to get it. I hope this mini trauma recovery talk on recovery versus healing has been helpful for you. I'll see you in our next episode. All righty. Bye for now. It's time to buckle up. No more suffering in silence. Our Power Pack journey to recovery and realignment starts now. Remember, you were collateral damage on someone else's warpath. Trauma is not your fault. Recovery, however, is your responsibility. I'm your host, Wellness Coach Liz Blanding, and this is the Get Trauma Informed podcast.